Welcome to the Help for Leaders podcast. I'm Stacey Harris, and I'm passionate about showing leaders the power of communication and how it can transform their organizations, from Fortune 500 boardrooms all the way to brand new startups. As a leader, your actions and your words transform people and your company culture. So join me as I share tips and insights for elevating your leadership abilities as well as your team's performance. Let's dive right in. Behavioral assessments versus personality tests. That's what we're going to talk about today on the Help for Leaders podcast. I'm Stacey Harris. I'm so glad you're joining me today. I think that's probably one of the top things that I get asked all the time is DISC a personality test? And no, it's actually not a personality test. It measures human behavior. So it's a behavioral style indicator. It's not a test. You can't pass or fail. It's just a neutral language. So saying that our DISC assessment is a personality test is actually not true. It's a behavioral style indicator that measures human behavior. So that's what we're going to talk about. What are the differences? So you've all probably taken a personality test. Maybe you have taken the Myers-Briggs type indicator, or maybe you've taken the Enneagram. Both of those are great tools in the marketplace that measure personality. And what I want to explain today are the differences between personality and behavior, because behavior is situational. It's all about the how in our communication, and we can actually coach you to actually change your behavior. Whether you speed up or slow down or get to the point or talk personally, you can control all of those things, where your personality is something that you're born with. It's in you. It's not anything that we actually want you to change, but understanding more about yourself is helpful. So all of these tools are tools for self-awareness. So first, let's start with the MBTI, the Myers-Briggs type indicator. This assessment is actually based on Carl Jung's theory. So if you remember, if you heard my podcast on all things DISC, it really dives deep into the foundation of DISC. And it was Marston that kind of was the individual that had all of the theory behind the DISC model. So in the 1920s, they were both contemporaries creating these models of typology. And so two women came along. They're a mother-daughter duo. So Catherine Briggs and Isabel Briggs Myers is her daughter, created the assessment. So the Myers-Briggs type indicator is all about how you perceive information and then how you prioritize that information in making decisions. These two women actually created the MBTI assessment to help women during World War II identify jobs so that they could enter the workplace. So it was all about preferences in decision making. And I thought that was fascinating, that was kind of their thinking behind creating that assessment, really to help women in this era where all the men were being sent out to war. And so it is truly just a type indicator to help you. It's based on 16 different types. And the really cool thing about that tool is that no two types are exactly the same. So you could be an ENTJ and be very different for someone else who is an ENTJ, because how we actually apply that information will vary differently based on the individual. So another personality tool that's prevalent in the marketplace today is the Enneagram. Maybe you've taken that. It's based on 9 different types, where MBTI is 16 different types. The Enneagram is 9 different types. And really the foundation of it is very different. And it's based on a lot of different researchers' information. And it actually pulls up childhood trauma and wounds and fears and beliefs and how you're going to be able to make decisions with that information. So a lot deeper than, say, the MBTI as far as the methodology that it was created on. Again, not DISC. This is not human behavior. This is a piece of it. And we see some woven features of human behavior throughout it, but they're very different. I know some of the different types. My daughter is all into Enneagram, so I've learned a lot from her, but I've read a ton as well, just kind of seeing how to piece those together. If you're curious, I'm a 3, wing 2 on the Enneagram, an ENTJ on the MBTI, and I'm a high I, high D on DISC. My drivers are high commanding, high resourceful, I'm intentional, and I'm objective. So those are some of my drivers if you want to know a little bit more about me. But as we look into those combinations of kind of some of those overlaps, you see some of those conscientious pieces to the Enneagram, or even some of the steady style in some of the pieces of Enneagram and how they could correlate and maybe overlap slightly. But really, I just want you to understand these assessments are measuring two completely different things. So human behavior is how we communicate, period, and how we interact. And it really helps an individual be able to communicate more effectively. Understanding your personality, it's also a huge part of self-awareness in your professional development as you learn more about your styles, and it can absolutely impact your relationships. And so that's great information. But the big difference is that we can actually help you learn to flex your behavioral style, where you don't want to flex your personality. It's who you are. It's in your DNA, and it's all about your human behavior and your makeup of what makes you unique. And so understanding both tools is really helpful, but I wanted to just really clarify. They measure two completely different things. One is a personality test. The other is a behavioral style assessment. Again, two different things measuring similar, kind of overlapping things, but obviously very different as well. So I hope I've cleared it up a little bit for you. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. We'd love to connect with you on the differences even between personality and human behavior. If you haven't taken our free work from home assessment, I'd love to invite you to take it. It's all linked in our bio, so go take that free assessment. You'll learn more about yourself and how you communicate and really dive deeper into self-awareness. Thank you for joining us today. You have the potential to communicate, engage, and lead with significant impact, and my goal is to help you do just that. Whether you're trying to get that next big promotion, scale your small business, or manage a team of thousands, there's always room for growth, and I can help you get there. Go to disc-report.com and find out what style of leader you are by downloading my free ebook on communication. Until next time, lead well and prosper.